It's funny. Have you ever noticed that some of the best communicators, the people who really get their point across, often say the least? It's like they've got this secret language. Well, today we're going to crack the code on that. Does this feel familiar? I mean, who hasn't felt this way? You know that using your hands could make things so much clearer, but when you're in the moment, your brain just defaults to, I don't know, pointing? It's a super common feeling. Because let's be honest, sometimes they just aren't. Whether you're in a classroom or a meeting, just talking at people can lead to total confusion. So what's the fix? How do you really connect? Well, you tap into what I like to call your silent superpower. And no, I'm not just talking about waving your hands around for no reason. This is about using gestures as a real strategic weapon in your communication arsenal. And this is where the magic really happens. See, when you give people a visual cue, their brains don't have to work so hard to figure out what you're saying. It makes things so much clearer. And over time, people start to build this instant connection. They see the gesture, and they just get the meaning. It's incredibly efficient. Okay, so let's get practical. How can you actually use these to organize a group and give instructions without having to repeat yourself like 5 times? This is a perfect example of the range you have. On the one hand, you've got a gesture that says, okay, focus inward, this is solo work. And on the other, a big open gesture that says, let's all do this together. Two totally opposite commands delivered in a split second with zero confusion. And just think about how efficient this is. Instead of a whole sentence like, all right, everyone, if you could please find your seats, you just do this. One simple, clean motion. It keeps things moving, and everyone knows exactly what to do. And hey, gestures aren't just for telling people where to go. You can cue abstract ideas too. I mean, this thinker pose, everybody on the planet knows what that means. It's a universal signal to just pause and reflect for a second. This whole idea of making abstract things physical is so cool, especially with something like time. You point back over your shoulder for the past, straight down for right now, and ahead for the future. You're literally mapping out time in the space around you. It's a physical anchor for a mental idea. All right, let's move on to something a little more advanced, giving feedback. This can be a tricky area, but your hands can be an amazing tool for encouraging people and making corrections without it feeling harsh. So let's start with a classic. The thumbs up. Seems pretty straightforward, right? It means good job. Yes, awesome. But what if I told you that in some places, giving someone a thumbs up is, well, it's not good at all. Because what seems totally normal and positive to you could be sending a completely different, maybe even insulting message to someone else. And this brings us to probably the most important rule of all. Context is everything. For example, did you know that in Bulgaria, nodding your head means no and shaking it side to side means yes? You just can't take anything for granted. You've got to know your audience. And here's where that nuance really pays off. A thumbs down can feel so final, so negative. But look at this sideways wiggling thumb. It sends a totally different vibe, right? It's like saying, you're close, or let's tweak that a little. It's corrective for sure, but it's also encouraging. It keeps the learning going. And you can get incredibly specific. Look at this one. It's genius. You take 2 fingers for 2 words, like do not, and you physically squish them together to make don't. It's a mini lesson in grammar that visually explains the rule without you having to say a thing. Okay, so now we have a bunch of gestures in our back pocket, but knowing the words is only half the battle. Now we've got to talk about the delivery, how to actually do them so you look clear and confident, not awkward. This 3-step formula is the secret sauce. A lot of people forget step 2, the hold. They'll do a quick little hand flap and bring it right back. But if you make the gesture and then just hold it for a couple of seconds, like you hit the pause button, that gives everyone's brain a chance to catch up, see it, and process what it means. It makes all the difference. So let's really dig into these pro tips. First, be confident. A weak little gesture sends a weak message. Own the movement. Second, go big. Small, timid gestures just get lost. Think like you're on a stage. Bigger, wider movements are easier for everyone to see and project authority. Third, and this is a big one, see it from their side. Remember, your left is their right. And finally, give it time. Seriously, holding a gesture for 4 or 5 seconds might feel long to you, but it's the perfect amount of time for your audience to really let it sink in. But none of these gestures work by themselves. They all need to be anchored by the single most powerful communication tool we have, This is the thing that really connects you to people and makes sure they're actually with you. The goal here is to connect, not to conduct an interrogation. So don't hide behind your notes. Look up. And don't just stare at one person. That's creepy. The trick is to let your gaze be warm and relaxed, just gently bouncing from one person to another, connecting with each of them for just a few seconds. It builds an incredible amount of trust and really pulls people.
Whew, okay, we have covered a ton of ground here, from why this stuff matters to exactly what you can do. So let's wrap this up and talk about how you can start making these techniques your own, like right now.
So if you remember anything, remember this. 1, gestures are your superpower for making things clear. 2, you don't need to learn 50 of them overnight. Just start with a couple of simple, powerful ones. 3, always think about the cultural context. And 4, nail that 3-step process, make, hold, stop, and tie it all together with good, warm eye contact. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Just one thing to think about. After all this, what is the one new gesture you're going to consciously try this week? Just pick one. Start there. I promise, you'll be amazed at how much of a difference it makes.